Ice back. What did you say here? All SCPs still have to go to the awesome Wells school of staying quiet forever after dropping a plot relevant one-line ice. I see. Okay, yeah, maybe. Hold on, I just need to prepare something for myself. Notify me, there we go. Perfect, okay. All right. We got 4 more to go. Hopefully, like I said, they are not too long. Because I do want to finish. It's okay. Soul again. Soul was the first one, the of office furniture. So it's the longest one of the bunch. It's a bit of a controversial one. It's the longest one. Oh boy. Okay. We can do it. We will be fine. We'll be fine. We'll be fine. We'll be fine. All right. Soul written an utterly driven scientist. Which, God, what is it? What even is this? Okay, warning. Submission of these standard containment procedures to the Foundation database will conclude the prescribed period of initial research quarantine. If you wish to proceed, please accept any changes made to the draft entry and provide appropriate authorization where relevant. Object class, Euclid, neutralized. Special containment procedures, MDF 8 or 10 and Theta 5 are to establish a naval perimeter around the Sentinel's Island to prevent outside contact while a local containment protocol is determined. And I think this is the longest crossed out section I ever had to read in an SB Foundation log so far. So here we go. The 3-day class hosts infected with SCP-2136 are to be contained in a large single-room cell with an inner and outer door. All interior walls and interior of the inner door are to be lined with mirrors, and the cell is to remain well lit at all times. Limited furniture is to be provided to avoid blocking line of sight within the cell. All bedcloths must be made of transparent or translucent material, and the host's clothing must leave exposed skin from all angles. Hosts are to sleep in shifts with no more than one host sleep at any time. In the event of death of a host, a new D-class subject must be introduced to the cell as soon as possible. After being briefed as to SCP-2136 effect, no other personnel are to be admitted to the outer door of the cell, and the outer door must be closed before the inner door is opened to receive food or replacement D-class hosts. The cells will be monitored by CCTV only. That was all crossed out. What I just read. All and here it just says all D-class hosts died. SCP-2136 is neutralized. Okay. I'm curious. Description: SCP-2136 is a pathogen capable of infecting humans. The pathogen is transmitted by an uninfected human visual perception of an infected host. This form has not been able to be visualized by electron microscopy. And here a footnote saying, it is hypothesized that the transmission stage is subatomic in size and is carried by individual photons reflecting from the skin of an infected host, infecting the new host via the retina. Upon infection, the pathogen migrates to the host's motor neurons, producing an effect -A. If the infected subject is out of the line of sight of another host, the characteristic symptoms of -A are a sudden stiffening of the unobserved subject's muscle, followed by complete immobility. Reobservation by another host during this period will reverse these symptoms, allowing the subject to regain muscle control. Death of an unobserved subject will occur within 5 minutes due to the respiratory and circulatory failure. Similarity between the effects of SCP-2136 pathogen and 2218 instances have been noted. Investigation into whether the anomalous property affecting SCP-2218 instances are an altered version of SCP-2136 or vice versa is ongoing. Deceased hosts cease to be infectious in study, and if this deceased hosts ceased to be infectious, and study of deceased hosts has revealed anomalous organelles within neural cells. The organelles are non-functioning in the deceased subjects, but is presumed to be the mature form of the pathogen. In this stage, the composition of the pathogen suggests the ability to absorb some or all of the electrical impulses generated by the host's neurons. This may indicate that the pathogen feeds on these impulses. Cell samples containing functioning pathogen will be required to confirm this mechanism. Further study has revealed that the pathology observed above may not constitute the full life cycle of the pathogen. Analysis is continuing. Please see Dr. Heidke journal's notes below in the interim. Discovery. SB2136 was first identified in 2 individuals taken from the Sentinel Islands. The indigenous Sentinelese had been tagged for investigation following changes in their behavior as observed on satellite. After the Foundation lost contact with the agent assigned for observation, a visual hazard was anticipated and Mobile Task Force 810, See No Evil, was sent in under blind ops conditions capturing the subjects for study. I should have wished to delete the addendum observation journal. Please enter your password below to confirm deletion. Enter password. Okay, let's see here, day 1. Here we have password invalid. Please confirm password and retry. Dr. Heidke observational journal. Potential anomaly provisional designation 2136. Day 1. 14 o'clock. Assigned to a new position. Assigned a new potential SCP. Working with Dr. Fletcher, astrobiologist, and Dr. Masuru, biochemist and translator. I'd like to record my thanks to Dr. Richards for assigning me my first supervisory role and look forward to reporting back once we're through the initial 96-hour quarantine. And I think I'm getting tired. Okay. MTF 8 or 10 have secured 2 subjects, 1 and 2, in the containment cell, and have also brought in tissue samples from a human corpse found with the subjects. The MTF leader noted that the subjects expressed a desire to remain together during capture and transport. 21:30 o'clock, commenced CCTV observation. Subjects were seated on beds facing each other and conversing. Dr. Masroor noted that the subject's spoken language was a Bengali dialect, indicating that the subjects were not native Sentinelese. Subjects were interrogated using the cell speaker system and confirmed that they were agents from the Indian government. When we refused to release them, they ceased to answer our questions. Indians and agents as well. What were they after? Day 2, 8:30. No. Don't explain the context. We will get to it. I will read it. Day 2, 8:30. Subjects have refused to sleep and have continued to demand release, but have shown no outward signs of anomaly. They certainly don't seem to be affected by a visual hazard. Perhaps 8 or 10 picked up the wrong people on the blind excursion. 16:20. Following a long whispered conversation, the subject asks whether another person can join them in their cell. He says that otherwise it is too dangerous for them to sleep, but won't explain why. I have refused the request until the corporate was, "Hey, Bamboo, welcome and good morning." We are on the 7th SCP right now. Howard can explain to you what you've missed, if you so may, Howard, because like, if the next one is the longest one, I do want to get to it, and yeah. 21:35. There's an anomaly here after all. At 21:30, subject 2 finally drifted to sleep, despite -1's urgings. Within a minute, -1 stiffened and fell to the floor, immobile. The noise woke up -2 up, and as soon as he did, -1 recovered. Dr. Fletcher and I agree that visual contact appeared to play a role in the effect we've designated -A. Dr. Masroor is talking to the subjects again now. 22:15. I have requested a D class to be assigned to enter the cell in return for the subjects telling Dr. Masroor what they know. Not much more than us, as it turns out. Observer reported that the Sentinelese were living in much tighter groups than normal, sleeping in shifts and not letting anyone go off alone. The observer also noticed some odd behavior from some of the Sentinelese with jerky, uncoordinated movements. Then the government lost contact with the observer. When they went to retrieve him, they found him dead, but with no sign of violence. During retrieval, the subjects were spotted by 2 Sentinelese who attacked with spears. The subject attempted to escape, but fell victim to -A. It was only when the Sentinelese warriors caught up to them that they were able to move and fight off the tribesmen. They were then preparing to leave the island when ETA 10 captured them. Honestly, I have no memory past the last 4 minutes. I'm built different. Wafangulo. What the fuck, man? It's fine. Once I finish reading this one, I'll explain it. 23 o'clock, the requested D-class designated subject -3 has arrived at the cell. Dr. Fletcher ensured that subject -3 entered the cell safely without subject -1 or -2 being seen outside the cell. I have asked containment to construct an outer door to the cell in case we need to open it again. After 5 minutes, we asked subject -1 and -2 to slowly turn away from -3, keeping each other in view. As expected, -3 stiffened and fell, confirming that the anomaly affects him too. Subject -3 was revived by -1 and -3 re-establishing visual contact, so the anomaly is definitely infectious and the line of sight theory could be right. Subjects have been instructed to sleep in shifts. We'll do the same in the observation room to make sure we don't lose any subjects to tiredness. Day 3. 6 o'clock. The implications of this anomaly are fascinating. Dr. Fletcher and I have been up all night debating its methods of infection and potential source. Dr. Fletcher insists that the anomaly is some form of virus, and while I don't think there's enough evidence yet, we have agreed to refer it as a pathogen in the draft containment procedures. Dr. Masroor joined in some of the discussion, but later I could see her in the reflection from the CCTV monitor napping on the bench nearby. We'll run some detailed tests today. 21:45. Wait a minute, I think. Yeah, looks like the music stopped. I forgot that the street parade does stop at midnight with music, unlike the Suri festival where the music goes on till like 4 in the morning and it's like a 3-day party. Completely forgot that it's the other way around. 21:45, a very long day. Testing has been difficult. Every instruction needs to be delivered in English and Bengali, and subjects were unwilling to cooperate until I told them the test would help us find them a cure. Why wouldn't they be on edge? They've had hardly any sleep. Not that we have either. Observation, I'll write up the full test logs later. But for now we learned, average time for -A effects once line of sight is broken is around 45 seconds. Line of sight for -A purposes is not disrupted by reflection or refraction. I requested mirrors for the subjects to hang in the cell, which would help keep them with each other's view. Line of sight needs to include skin to avoid -A effects. We asked the subjects to strip to the waist for now and have updated the draft containment procedures. Dr. Mazur has identified some anomalous structures in the tissue samples ETA 10 brought back. Looks like this is some type of parasite after all. We ceased testing at 21:30 and the subjects are currently hammering hooks into the walls of the cell to hang up the mirrors. Subject -1 is terrible at it, seems to miss as often as he hits, meaning it's taking forever. Constant hammering is not helping anyone's nerves, especially subject -3, whose shift is to rest. Day 4. There's a lot happening here. Day 4, 3:35, so that's in the morning. Damn. Awake again and on my observation shifts with Dr. Mazur, making sure no more than one subject sleeps at a time. When sleeping, subject -2 seems in the grip of nightmares, twitching and spasming. Could the infection be degrading motor control even while subjects are under watch from another host? Dr. Masur apologized again for spilling coffee on my draft logs. I've reassured her that it was an accident, but we'll need to get back up team on this, as the lack of sleep is weighing us all down. 12:40. Today's tests have been inconclusive. Subjects 1 and 2 have grown disruptive, failing to comply with some instructions. At one stage, subject -2 stood up in the middle of a test and lurched jerkily across the cell. Dr. Masu tells me he was shouting, "I can't stop, help." Subject -3 has shown signs of agitation at this behavior, has been less cooperative than before. Any test results we have are probably compromised. 1810. Testing cancelled for the day. Subject 1 and 2 are no longer compliant, sporadically staggering around the room with voices raised in alarm. According to Dr. Masuru, the subjects appear to be conscious of their behavior but are unable to exercise gross motor control. Dr. Fletcher agrees that this appears to be a new stage of the infection. It has greatly alarmed subject 3, who keeps yelling at the other subjects to back away. Nothing we can do for him, of course, and I can sympathize with being stuck in a small room with 2 other people and no sleep. 21:25, the backup team arrives tomorrow to take over. We attempt to tell them to shorten the observer's shifts. Dr. Fletcher is so tired he can barely hold his pen straight, and I've given up on cutlery. The only good news is that subject 1 and 2 have recovered some motor control. That's my cousin. Vishnu, yeah. They stop shouting, the 2 lapsing into a slurred drawl when they speak at all. Subject 3 is crouched in the corner of the cell with the hammer from the mirror hanging. He's glaring at others and twitching. But I'll take that over the shouting. Not much longer to go, and then some rest. Be on a streamer. Where the machine? He's glaring at the others and twitching, but I'll take off the chat, not much. On the go and then some rest. 23:45. Oh shit. Shit. How the hell will I? The experiment is terminated. The subjects are dead. Well, that did not go well. At approximately 23:30, subject 3 started to fall asleep despite his best efforts. As he did so, subject 1 and 2 stood up and advanced on him. The movement was deliberate but controlled, and they repeated a single word. Dr. Masuru translated it as, "Look." Subject 3 woke with a start and backed further into the corner, clutching the hammer and yelling at them. But they kept coming, and when they got too close, he was uncoordinated, but they were slow and so clumsy, and he had the hammer. We watched it all, and it seemed to take forever. And then, as he stood there, slick with blood and shreds of tissue, we realized what would happen next. His heaving chest froze, the hammer slipped from a frozen hand. He fell motionless. We watched him suffocate in a room full of air. Day 5. So, 10 past midnight. I sent Masu to get help. Fuck quarantine. 20 past midnight. Forgive me, Dr. Richards. I need to record a containment breach of the SB2136. We have been infected. Fletcher denies it, but he must have seen the subject when letting the D-class in. I know he must have, because Fletcher looked away from me. When I was 9, I fell into a river and almost drowned. This was worse. I was desperate to breathe. Frantic, and I could do nothing. There was no water to claw at, no gasping, just the knowledge that I was watching myself die. Helpless. If I hadn't turned around, I would be dead. Thank God I froze looking at him, or we would both be dead. Would all be 30 past midnight. Dr. Mazur made it as far as the hallway before she collapsed. Well, Dr. Fletcher and I stumbled all together to find her. It must look like a bad joke, trying to keep each other in view, lumbering into doors. Shit! Didn't deserve this. 5:45. 5:55, what the fuck? Hey, Win1, welcome. You're also here. We're reading number 2136. I'll tell after this one what you missed and what also Bangboom missed. You missed 2 Martian Car and Dogs SCPs, Win1. I was, yeah. Okay, 5:55. have your type now, even between spasms. It's like in the passenger seat of my brain, and some Edelzy is driving. Fletcher is getting worse too. 11:25. He's watching me, I know it. If he wasn't, I would be dead. But I'm not watching him. If I don't turn around, he can't move and he'll die. And then I'll die. So I've got about 5 minutes of typing and then another 5. Good. The backup team will be here in less than 3 hours. And we have to be dead by then. They can't find us alive, it has to die with us. The spasms have finally worn off. I still have some time before it takes me over, so I can type. A warning. This pathogen is more complex than we realized. Before I was collecting electrical impulses just to feed, but I was storing them. To use, to drive us. Once it understands the muscles, it knows where to push, where to pull. Our consciousness trapped in an electrical puppet made of flesh that is no longer ours to control. Talking is more complicated, but I can learn that too. I've been mumbling gibberish for hours, so has Dr. Fletcher. And then he spoke. Look, he said, staring at me avidly. Look, look, look. He started to shuffle towards me, and I didn't think. I closed my eyes. And now I'm typing and waiting for him to die. I'm trying to resist the urge to turn around. He wants me to look, but I can't. I can't look. 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 And there we go. Damn. That was intense at the end though. Alright. Here we go. Alright guys. Bang Boo, Build One. Here's what you missed. We had office furniture, which is basically just a bunch of furniture in the office that will have some sort of kappa radiation and will also affect people. People will be affected by not realizing the ethical and moral consequences of their actions. Like if there's like a knife on a on a bench, and the bench is an anomaly, and somebody tells you, hey, that knife can cut whatever, can cut everything. They will decide like, hey, I want to cut people. I want to cut the door of this containment. Hey, I want to cut reality. So they basically will not realize like whatever they do is highly ethically and morally questionable. Then we have the anti-pope, which is a pope a person who, whenever they get injured, shoots a blast of gamma ray, just a ray of energy basically, and they try to kill themselves multiple times, but they also, like, every time they injure themselves they heal. They try to pretend that they were a Christian pope, but they were not. Then we have the most dangerous fighting exhibition and obstacle resort, a radio station, not a radio station, a radio tower with a child's voice coming out of it, and if it gets 4 people to come into a room by the barn, it materialize a reality where they have to basically, it's very much like a game show where they have to do their best to survive and get to the end. Then we have Our Land, Our Bondage, basically a small, very tiny village that is full of diseases, who are very, I would say, very much a cult, to be honest, because they follow a certain god's instruction, and if your suit gets compromised, you instantly get like 6 different hardcore diseases, and it sounds like they also have like weird like buildings that basically are alive. Yeah. Shelter is a man that wants you to look at him, and if you do, you die. So yeah, if you hear his voice, you will have the compulsion to look at him. 91st Street Station is basically a location in New York that will a car will show up, or a train. I think it's a car that will show up that will basically drive you to another reality of a 1950s New York, with people that have no nose, eyes, and mouth, but ears. And yeah, if you spend 24 hours there, you cannot return. And now we just read an utterly driven scientist. So now we're gonna read the next one.